All right, we are back. It's good to see you guys. Let's welcome, by the way, to Gray Pages for all you listening. We are well into working our way into season three, and yeah, what's up, guys? What's going on? What are we talking about?
It's a cold morning here in Alton, Illinois.
Yeah, it sounds
Got that
awful.
worldwide blizzard coming in. It's -12 right now, a little chilly.
Yeah, they say, yeah, it is cold.
Yeah, my toes are cold right now. They haven't been cold like this for a long time.
Our studio's cold. Our
I wish we could show people how terrible this place is.
They say if you make it past season 2, you've made it. The
No,
sophomore slump. So
okay,
here we are in season 3,
we just plugging along, man.
trucking through, um, trying to think of things that we want to get into.
Yeah. There's some things that have happened, like in this little reprieve that I think we've got to talk about later, but I'll just throw a few things out. And I think Taylor does have some stuff for today, but we have noticed around the Brave City world the last 6 months, a lot of our leaders are struggling with raising money. We had a group that wanted to fund us because we serve beer at our brewery. This was after a long time. We've got some other cats that
We served beer at our brewery.
they pulled
Imagine
out
it.
the money at the last minute after it all looked great. And they went, yeah, we just can't do that.
Wait, because you serve beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying they wanted to give you money because you serve beer. The opposite of that.
No.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Some infusion, and they totally loved it. They loved everything that Brave Cities and what we did locally. But then when they found out we serve beer, they pulled out. So another Brave City group lost quite a bit of denominational funding because they wanted to put it back into more traditional forms of church planting. So it's been a unique season watching some of our entrepreneurship struggle because of what you kind of call old money or pretty far back forms of thinking, at least at a missionary level. So got one of our other Brave City leaders that had handed off the more of the spiritual community aspect to a gentleman, and he's had a real struggle, and so he's had to go back into that world from his restaurant positioning, and that's been a difficult thing for him. But anyway, it seems like it's been more of a season of struggle
But
for.
there also seems to be our kind of national and global community is growing a little bit. We're kind of a speakeasy. We communicate when we can. We don't have any public brand really, but there's an email chain and a newsletter. If you want to be on that newsletter, reach out to us and let us know. We're trying to get together a couple of times a year. We're doing these fireside chats once a month or so, and there's some significant growth happening, but also there's just a lot of local movement happening in different people, different groups, different ecosystems. And I've been thinking a lot about how, I don't know, there's a quote that has been said about 12 different ways. I'll say it this way, but I think it can ebb and flow through the different articulations of it. But the quote is oftentimes frustration is the mother of innovation. I've also heard it said that, what is it? Frustration is the mother of invention. Am I saying that right, John?
Lamentations. I think this was Sanders put this in his book.
Lamentations
Lamentations is the mother of innovation.
So all of those, I know that Lamentations is not the original quote, but all of those kind of mean the same thing. And I was talking to our good friend and mentor, Desi Baker, recently. Is that? Yeah. I just blanked on his last name as I said it. I was like, that's Desi's last name. Desmond Baker. in Globe, Arizona, and he was kind of walking me through the same truth that I've been holding on to for 15 years, that prophets don't really profit, and prophetic movements are rarely, if ever, going to be at the forefront of the ones raking in the dough. And he kind of bullet pointed and broke down why he believed that was. And when I think about the movement and the innovation, and even here, man, John, you'd be amazed if you came here, because you haven't been here in what, like 6 months?
Something like that.
I know you came briefly for our fall gathering, but if you just came and spent a couple days, like rolled up your sleeves with us, there's so much movement happening here. So many new, I guess, workers are kind of coming into the ecosystem saying, I want to be a part of this work. I was sitting with a guy yesterday that is as disconnected from Jesus and the story of Jesus as anybody I know, but he is enamored with the aroma of the kingdom, the work of a kingdom ecosystem. Super talented, super gifted. I think I'll say this to kind of conclude that thought and launch into our thought today is, I think and have thought for years, I've probably said this multiple times on the podcast, I think that resource is fluid, and I think that we oftentimes miss the significant resource that's being afforded us as apostolic prophetic movements, kingdom ecosystem movements, Jesus people, because we've sort of been conditioned through a paradigm and through a mindset of like resource just comes by money in the bank. I think we could break down that thought really well, because what I'm about to read is important. I don't want it to initiate or trigger some type of poverty mindset. So that's actually not at all what we believe. I just think that the kingdom resourcing manifests itself in such a perplexing and confounding way, as opposed to how Babylon and empires resource. So this is Hugh and Lynn's, my wife, and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and when I was meditating on that conversation that night in the wee hours, where Hugh and I often find ourselves awake when everyone else is asleep, texting each other. This was the passage that came to mind. This is in Corinthians, somewhere in there. He writes, but God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. God chose the lowly things of this world and the despised things and the things that are not, to nullify the things that are, so that no one may boast before him. It is because of him that you are in Christ Jesus, who has become for us wisdom from God, that is our righteousness, holiness, and redemption. Therefore, as it is written, let the one who boasts boast in the Lord. And I'll end with this, and let's try to launch into this combo, that because this to me is the secret sauce of this conversation. When we talk about having little, or being under-resourced, or scrapping, hustling, we can sometimes convey the thought that we don't have much, or that much has not been given to us. And then we take a friggin' second and look around our ecosystem. We take a little inventory of a half decade of our life. We look at our marriages, our relationships, the work of our hands, the connections, the partners, the ideas, the resources that are provided through sort of weak ways, like ways that we wouldn't be able to boast in. And
Yeah, you'd have to say, man, we're like filthy rich.
it's crazy. And my wife, Lindsay's really good at this, at going, hey, bud, pump the brakes. Like, have you thought about these 5 things?
Yeah.
Because when I don't want to do too much contrasting, but when you're standing on a stage looking at a little thermometer capital campaign that's up to 62 million.
I like the horses where the horses go.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
It's like a racetrack and they just move the horses up.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
And you're watching your charismatic pitch for the new vision just rile everyone up to empty their pockets. I won't even suggest that that's not the work and the grace of God, because that would be too hard to quantify or to measure. But it's pretty dang easy to boast in that effort.
Yeah.
What's hard to boast in is when you see this unique, like I think about this gym that we have built a legitimate kind of ground shaking youth movement out of this run down Bush League basketball gym.
Happier than the Hoosier gym.
It looks like the Hoosier team from the Gene Hackman movie said, we need to get a new gym because this one's not going to work. And I can't boast in it. I'm actually sometimes a little embarrassed, but there's this like pride in, look at what we have. We have full access to a full court, beautiful basketball gym that we can open up to all the youth in the city that have nowhere to go. But it's provided in such an odd way.
Yeah, it took how many years for you to get not a lot of money to fix that up, but it was
4 years.
4 years.
And
the
after
whole time we're like, why is this so hard? But yeah, and now.
But what if we built our own, like, what if we had our own, like, call it a church campus, and then we built our own same size, but kind of state-of-the-art basketball? You know what we would do often? I would take people in it and I would say, look at what I built. Look at what we did. We raised, we created this. But now we have this gym that we don't have control of. We're kind of at the mercy of the director of the organization, the community center, even though she's so in favor of us, loves us, I have a key, can go anytime I want. And that's one of a myriad of stories of what seems like God choosing the weak ways to shame the wise. And so I think this idea of brave city leaders are struggling. I just want to be a voice of sort of like challenging that thought. Don't lose sight of how God is expanding innovation in your context and using the foolish things of the world to shame the wise, and the lowly things, even the despised things, to nullify. That's what I want to hear from you guys, and maybe listeners, you guys can talk about it in your own circles, but he's using the lowly things to nullify the things that others boast in.
Can I share a story really quick and bring that back around? John,
story time.
A few weeks ago, I went out to a pretty well-known church kind of in the Midwest. And they have supported us in the past. They sent out a team of workers that actually saved my soul one day. I was going to quit, and they built out some bars, and it gave me my spark of life again. And so I love these guys and I love what they do. And but their kind of new missions director, it's a different person than knew me and kind of trusted me. So early on, the money came pretty easy. And then it's just kind of dried up. And so I was going out to kind of meet the new person and kind of share what we were doing. And before that, I met with one of the pastors, very good friend, really respect him a lot. Is really kind of a passion for what we're doing. And so I kind of thought it was a no-brainer to kind of re-up with them as a partner, and that they might walk with us for a while. And when I was meeting with the pastor, he actually said, he's like, we don't talk about it ever from the pulpit, but internally, we look at the amount of money that our church gives out annually and what we've given out since we've been in existence. And he said, I think we might be the most generous church in the world. And he said it humbly. I mean, but it was a boast. It was like, hey, we're proud that we might be giving more money than any church ever in the history of the world. And I was like, it could be true. I think they're the second or third largest church in the country, so very well could be true. And I know a lot of the stuff they give to is good stuff, good people. And so, I mean, I didn't really even have any issue, but I just remember thinking they do feel really good about the amount of money that's given. So, and again, it made me feel great going into my next meeting. I was like, well, sweet, then we should be a shoe-in for maybe being a part of that. And I told this new missions director, and I think she makes a good chunk of the decisions for all of this money. And literally within the church, it's a point of their collective thumbprint. Like, what we're proud about with our church is that we give a lot of money to missions. And so I shared everything that we had done in the past and what we were doing with this new park project, and
shared about your family,
the cost, everything. And at the very end, and I could tell it wasn't connected. Like, you can just kind of see it. And
before you get to the end, to be clear, you went deep. You said, let me tell you.
I told her
about
20
my
great
life
stories of
stories.
real people, and the whole day.
My daughters, the places that I've lived.
Told about you guys and your family, what you guys
calls,
have done. Whole deal.
Milton.
It might have been one of my best missions presentations ever, without embellishment, because I didn't have to. It was like great stuff. And then when I'm done after 45 minutes, she just goes, can you help me? I guess I'm just having a hard time. Where's the kingdom in all this? And I it was just silent. I didn't know what to say. Actually, it was the first time ever. I didn't even get offended when the guys didn't want to fund us because of the beer. They were making a judgment based on the alcohol thing. But this was the first time I felt like personally offended that this woman thought I had done all this for the last 10 years and we might have missed the kingdom. And she was making a judgment. I don't know, just that juxtaposition of boasting over what you're giving, but your inability to see what's real, I think is something that we got to pay attention to. So anyway, I didn't tell you this, but I did tell you this part. They asked me to apply for 2027, and I wrote her back a note, and I said, look, we won't be doing that. I can tell there's not a connection anymore between our mission and your giving, so don't worry about it. But first time I sort of fired a missions team from potentially giving money to us. But anyway, so made me mad that people can't see what God's doing, even if they've got all the funding. So I don't know.
So there seems to be like this, there's like this pendulum of boasting and what's the other side? Just kind of bitching and moaning, like not finding any good in the foolish things or in and I've even seen a real consistency of boasting in having little. I think the whole idea is to purge the boasting from us. Yep. So, like, I don't even want to find myself kind of sitting on this throne of arrogance of anything, boasting of like, look at all that we did with so little, or look at all that we've done, period. It's the posture that we feel and that we want other kingdom workers to feel is we don't know how this happened. We feel like we've shared our story with people who could underwrite everything. And they've said, cool story, but we don't see the kingdom in it. And yet Jesus is riddled all throughout the story. He's woven in every single moment, every single like effort is. So Jesus
That's
said
why I
this.
got mad. I felt like she was saying to the Lord, it doesn't look like he done much.
Doesn't look
with
like
these
he done
guys.
anything. Yeah. And it kind of, cheesy analogy, but it kind of reminds me of that scene in the movie, the Costner movie, Field of Dreams, where he's watching the players and he's talking to his brother-in-law and he's like, you don't see him? And then his daughter's like, you don't see him? And they're a joke to him. Costner and his daughter are a joke. They're like a laughing stock. He's like, Ray is his name in the movie. He's like, Ray, stop with the shenanigans. Nothing you're saying is real. That's how it feels sometimes. And I go, oh, dang, we are fools. So we're either fools, like period, like Proverbs fools, or we're Corinthians fools. We look like we're out in a ball field playing with imaginary players going, y'all don't want to come and watch the game. It's really hard to boast in that.
In reality, even if, people listening, even if they've not got to anything yet that looks like something has happened, just hearing the call of God and moving to a neighborhood or moving to a new city, just that alone is like that God is asking us to do. Like, you can boast in that. Like, God's got our face on his refrigerator. He's like, I need you guys in this town, in this spot, in this little neighborhood. Like that, even that should be a kingdom boast. Like, we're trusting God. That's something real. Kind of just makes me mad that we all feel like we suck because we're not killing it and money's not just flowing easy. I wonder if easy money is even of the Lord. Like, I do wonder that.
I think that's a good thing to wonder about. You look like you're hankering, man. We've been out of this for a while. I think you forget you got to just jump in.
I will if there's a window. Like,
Nope.
all good. But
You got to break the window, bud.
on the
Look at that chair, by the way.
This is a good chair.
Like he should be wearing a pimp robe.
It's on the hook over here. No, so this passage you pulled out, like, it's interesting. Like, if you just back up a little bit in that verse, like this is actually where it's like where you have the idea that the message of the cross or Christ crucified is this ridiculous concept, like that. For the Jews, it's a stumbling block, like Christ, the one that would reign, the one that comes in power, the power of God, being executed on a Roman cross, right? It's such a breaking of anything meaningful to that mind. And so as you guys are talking and boasting, I keep thinking of the idea of meaning, like, and then it says, and it's foolishness to the Greeks because they're more into like wisdom. So you have like sign and wisdom, right? Like power, but power, like the way that these worlds understand, shape their world, and what the ambition in that is. And I don't know, you have like, so what's listed there? You have like the Jews and the Greeks, but then as you guys are asking this around money, and I just think of what is our own world we're in now? How do we understand control and how things are built and how things are done and it's like, what is the construct? And then like, what is what is meaningless in the face of it. So like that, and that's the thing, is like this Christ crucified message is, they're like, it is foolishness. It's insane. So all of these people, they're like, stop the shenanigans. That's not how God works. That's not what God does. And when I think about this idea of boasting, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I think like synonym, like we're bragging or something. And so when you like, oh, we're brag about how much money we give away, or brag about the things we've accomplished or whatever. And in contrast, like there's still this place for it in here, like with boast in the Lord. So I like what Hugh had said about like pointing out like our in the grit, like God's leading, God's provision, God like pointing to the thing that like God, like even the manna economy is like, I don't know, like this shouldn't work. Like I don't even know what we're doing, but somehow we're making it. Of course, we live in a world that, and we are individuals that go, this is constantly frustrating. I would love to have some like, I'm good for the year, you know what I mean, or whatever that is, and kind of know
I
that.
feel like that should be, I'm sitting in our office, our podcast studio slash office right now, and it says Brave Cities over here. And I think right above it, it should say, this shouldn't work.
Yeah.
Like that's, I
That
feel like
actually would be great.
I feel like I use that phrase once a week when we're talking about something we're trying to architect. Because we're always architecting three missional innovative ideas every month. And every one of them, I just think this shouldn't work.
Well, and then like, so like literally like yesterday we did this like opening of this drop-in center thing that we somehow pulled off. But to say we somehow pulled off genuinely is incorrect. It's like we is hugely inclusive of like so many people in the community. And it is genuinely like witnessing a miracle.
Yeah, it's a
The
miracle.
fact that it's there, and it's not like sure, we play a role in that, right? But like, I don't know, I felt God say like you have to do this, right? It's like this it's just conviction wise, like you have to try, but it shouldn't work. And now that it's there, people will come along and be like, you're probably really proud of what is going on here. And like at one level, yeah, sure, I'm happy it's here. But even in looking at the thing that exists, and I guess this is the question about other things that have been built, when you stand back and look, you're like, man, this is actually crazy. But also, I don't understand how it happened. Like, I was here for it. I played a major role in it. I kept beating the drum, but I also just never thought it would be. Like,
I thought even this morning, which I do every time I come into the post, and I go behind the bar and I pour myself a coffee. I usually pour like an inch and then I do the rest water. But I literally, it's like a sacred moment. It's like going to mass every morning. It's like, I thank the Lord. Like, I can't believe I get to go to this building and pour my own coffee. Like, that's a miracle. And every single thing, I was trying to think of, like, for you guys, how many things have people said to you about you? Like, they went, I think it's crazy that you, because I can immediately think of my best friends that said, I think it's completely stupid that you're moving from Denver to that little crap town in Illinois.
and you said, so do I.
People say, I think it's crazy that you're letting your kids go with you because you don't even know what's going to happen to them. I've heard people go, I can't believe you guys are spending or wasting your time doing business. I've had a guy last week go, bro, restaurants are they're going to be a thing of the past. Like everybody's going under, like, why are you wasting your time in the restaurant zone? I've had people go, why are you wasting time developing the land? I mean, I can think of like literally probably 10 times where people went, I think it's idiotic that you're working, like, why are you doing the poor thing?
Hold on, pause on that. Because I think the word waste is really important here, because there's this passage that immediately comes to mind where this perfume is poured out over Jesus' feet. And the people that see that thing go, what a waste.
Yeah.
And even things we might think like, yeah, that could have been sold and the money used to like house the homeless, to care for the poor. This thing we all agree on, this thing we all care about, and you just dumped out all this money, like it's just spilling in the thing. And I just want to say, like, this idea of waste, where you look at that and go, what a waste. But in the place of like worship, which I think is the actual move, that even in the work, it's worship. It's like pouring this thing out as like an offering. It is wasteful. You look at that and go, this is economically like ridiculous, but that waste is somehow identified as holy by Jesus. It's like holy waste that is announcing glory, boasting, announcing the glory of God and the value of that. Go ahead, man. Sorry. I just wanted to like get that out because it was just ringing in my head as you were like wasting on this, wasting on this, wasting on this. And I was like, I think
I
that's
feel like you should rip
affirmed.
on that a little more. I mean, that's what we're so easily swayed back into unbelief.
Mm-hmm.
One moment of loss or struggle or an end of the month realization that we're in the red again. And it's across the board. It's everybody that I talk to. And I think it's like one of my friends put it. We live in this tension between the matrix and reality, or what we believe is kingdom reality. And as aliens, which is one of our albums up there, all of our records have a unique spiritual meaning. As these kind of exiles, we're sort of schizophrenic, right? Like we suffer from multiple personality disorder. We have this kingdom understanding that ignites in us. It's a fire that grows dim every day that needs to be stoked. And when you say that, John, this is what I mean. When you just that one little diatribe you jumped on, the fire in me is reignited to know once again, like I'm ready to storm the gates again. And I believe it. I know what I truly believe, because when it's prophesied in front of me, I burn.
Yep.
But then the fire starts to dwindle, and the truck breaks down, or the lady says this doesn't feel like kingdom, or the balance sheet doesn't add up, or the business we were sure was going to really, really kind of take off in this one particular neighborhood doesn't hit. The family we've been walking with for over a year totally crumbles, on and on and on. Everybody's got a story a day. And then all of a sudden it's like, we don't believe anymore. Oh, help my unbelief.
Yeah.
I guess I'm saying to everyone, you got to stoke this fire with the truths that are from your origin, that kind of launched you into this life and into this effort,
There's a move that is made. So, I'm not a particularly big fan of just like church culture in general and the whatever. So, but there's this move made in black churches. It might be in other places, but I'm familiar with it in black churches that I feel like is like a discipline. I'm like, this I would like to integrate into my life in a deeper way, to the truck breaks down or you space hard. So it's like the exact thing you're talking about. And then it's like, we need to have, I feel like there's a verbal discipline that they have that is simply but God. So you'll hear like the truck broke down and this, and then we're without this and we're without this, but God. And then it's like a move. Like now you have to like speak in answer to that. And there's this, and I'm like, man, that is such a powerful move. That I think is exactly like, man, I'm on the side of the road. The truck broke down. I'm late for this thing. And like you're filled with disappointment. And when that happens, like, what's the like, that's a red flag. And what's the like move that needs to be made? And the move that needs to be made is to say to yourself, to remind yourself, but God. And then, like you said, like Lindsay's good at like recounting, like don't remember all that has happened, all the context within which this little stub toe has happened is all beautiful and kingdom and magical. And so what, you face an obstacle and like to remember that. And it's just, I don't know. I wanted to like echo that move because I've been wildly impressed every time I've seen it. Like, it's like, oh, I want that move in me as like a reflex.
Yeah, are you guys familiar with just kind of the biblical concept of the Ebenezer, the stone of remembrance? I won't get into it. Anybody listening can go look it up and enjoy your little study time. But it's the same thing that you're saying, and it's what Lindsay will do is we'll jump in the truck and she'll say, let's drive over to the river real quick. And let's look at this bridge and this river that we drove over during a very transitional time in our life to go, God, what is next? And as soon as we drove over this bridge, we knew like this was what was next. And then we'll drive up to the post or over to the park or over to our house, which was a miracle how that happened. And we'll sit in the living room with our 5 kiddos and ask them how they're doing. All of these are like stones of remembrance, which is the term Ebenezer. And you got to have those. And I want to reiterate. So there's several little points we've made, and I want to remind us of some of them. But the first, what kind of started this conversation is we have to remember and meditate on the miraculous provision and resource that God has given us in the unseen or in the hard to find. They're usually not found in the surplus of the bank account. But you'll have 5 conversations today or tomorrow that will remind you of, oh my goodness, man, this is crazy. Like, actually, just this one relationship could be, if I really tried to monetize it, I could break it down to about a $50K a year relationship like PJ. Yeah. But if that came in a check, we would go, look at how much we raised this year. But PJ came to us essentially and said, hey, I want to be a part of this project. And long story short, PJ is this world-class general contractor that's, retiring, and he just wants to serve and be a part of this new project we're working on. Just help. No fee,
which will actually save us, and it will be worth.
Yeah. So first of all, we'll save $250,000 from paying him. And then secondly, he will save us about $750,000 from working with him. And those are real numbers.
Yeah, I told you that walk he took with me for an hour, we actually added up, he saved $1 million off of our.
But if someone sent us $1 million check to our 501c3, we would count that as unbelievable provision in 2026 and tell everyone about it.
Yeah.
But we fail to recognize the $500,000 to $1 million of resources that came through one man saying, I want to help. I believe in what you're doing. And we could have off the cuff 10 to 15 more stories like that of God saying, I'm providing, but it's going to nullify the ways of Babylon. It's going to shame the wise. And you remember this, there's another story of an attorney that could not he was just like, none of what they're doing makes sense. Their partnerships don't make sense. The people that are helping them, this is what he said. He said, they've got to have hidden bank accounts somewhere. That's been said about me multiple times in my life.
Oh.
I was rebuked by a group of people who said, we know that you have secret funds somewhere. And I keep going, where are they? I want to find them. But I really do think that's the shaming. That's like the confounding of the wise. And I'm just not yet willing to accept this narrative of brave cities are struggling.
Yeah.
What we're struggling to do, we're struggling to recognize these like kung fu ways of the Lord, these sleight of hand provisions that we are too dumb to see.
Now, on the uber practical, let's say you're listening and you go, okay, I'm running a restaurant, I'm doing this, it's just not going great. John, today I pulled up in front of the post, parked in our Good News Brewing, and outside, right where I park, is a grill that I had to take out of our kitchen because it died. And I bought a new grill, and we barely had enough money. I had to ask Lindsay, do we got any money to buy the new grill? But we had to keep business going. But this old grill, I've been trying to get in the dumpster so it could be thrown away because it doesn't look very good sitting out in front. And 3 times I've got out of my truck and I've went, screw this, I'm going to lift that thing into the dumpster. For sake of the story, let's say it's 600 pounds. I think it's legitimately 300, but I go, okay, I can deadlift that. Like, so I've tried 3 times, and all the times I've gotten like a big boulder into my lap, grease everywhere, and I've gotten into the edge of the dumpster, and I cannot military press it over, and I gotta just drop a bad word and let it sit there again. So it's still sitting out. I just can't quite get it up over.
Keep in mind, never once has he called me and said, hey man, can you give me a hand?
Point well taken. But be that as it may, this is how some of us feel. This is how I feel in ours. So we're going on 8 years here. We just barely lose money every month. Some months we might break even, but I constantly, Taylor and Lindsay know it. I'm trying to figure out the equation. How do we get this thing just, and by the way, when you lose a little bit of money every month, you end up with visas that are maxed out. So we feel that, but we're so close. And it's like that damn grill. We're just about ready to tip that over and be what we would probably, like what I'm looking for is just like a little breath of fresh air, a little sustainability, a little lack of waking up in the middle of the night. And yet all the way around us are all these other provisions. I'm just struggling with this one aspect of 1/10 of all the things that are going on. So maybe some of you just need to hear that. It does feel like that. It doesn't mean that we just sit back and do nothing because we know God is going to do a sleight of hand. I think he does want us to keep trying to figure it out and keep working it and price out every egg and do whatever you can, leverage what you can. But at the end of the day, I still look at that grill out in the middle of a beautiful building that's a blessing to hundreds of people and has changed the course of about 40 families that we all love. And that's like, we just feel like we're the wealthiest people in the world and we can't claim anything. Like, so, this will be our one boast. We boast in the Lord. Someday he'll get the grill up into the dumpster, or hopefully he'll have some dude that wants to steal it, just come steal it. That'd be a nice sleight of hand. Some guy just takes it, but somehow God will get her done. And I would suggest that if God initiated what he's called you to, anybody listening, that somehow he'll sleight of hand this thing and you'll go, we didn't do it, he did it. And that's the point of the whole witness.
Couple things real quick on that, dude. I loved that story as an image. Well, first of all, it's just so weird to me, like the difference in like Tampa as a city, and like I'm assuming that thing's made of metal, and I'm like that would be 60 seconds gone in any place. Just here is like you left metal on the side of the road. I don't care how many people it takes to lift it up, but that's just like illustrating like a difference in the place. But as you told that story, man, it is the story of Sisyphus. Like, you guys know that story of Sisyphus. So Sisyphus is condemned to by the gods to push this boulder up this mountain for all of eternity. And every time he's right at the top, you like right as that's like leveraged over, it rolls back to the bottom and he has to go back down and start again. And Camus wrote this book, this existential philosophy book. So I love the way you landed that to go, God will get her done. Like there's some transcendent, like this is for God to do. We trust in the power of God. This is kind of a faith in manna. but as an existentialist, like Camus would write about this, not as like a move of faith, but as a condition of humanity, to say, actually, that is us. Like he points to that and says, like, there's this meaninglessness of the work of all of it. It can feel like we're condemned to do this like task. And in the end of that book, he actually makes this case that he asks the question, can Sisyphus be imagined happy? And the answer he gives is like, yes, if he has chosen to love his rock, to love his task, to like, if this is seen as a labor of love, then it can be meaningful and fulfilling in the game, in the process, even though it's eternal and it rolls to the bottom and what would cause everyone else despair. He has found grace and meaning in that. And like, he can be seen as happy. And I feel like back to the thing of like boasting, it's like that's and why meaning kept coming to mind. It's like it is made meaningful by the embrace of the doing, like you trying to push that thing up and why you're doing it and what the context within which you're doing it. It's like you can be seen as happy, failing to get that in the dumpster again and again and again, even though you might go, I don't know that I was happy about that, but like that you can embrace that task. And then part of that is because of the move of faith that you have to go, but God, because I trust in what this is ultimately meaning. And I just thought, man, what a killer image.
It is.
I wish we had like photos and video of you failing to get that in the dumpster. Cause I was like, that should be just like,
it's funny, man, when Hugh was sharing that, I thought, I want to share this thought. And I had this sense, and John's got some kind of philosophical story.
He pulls the Sisyphus
that he's going to end with. And I didn't go with my gut, but this was it. Because you were supposed to end with that. But that is the heart of all of this. The way of empire. Listen, this is kind of the prophetic, that's the practical, here's the prophetic reality. The way of empire is we work for an end here.
mm-hmm.
It's the silly idea of retirement. And this has nothing to do, the people who listen to us, I won't need to explain this to, but I'm not talking about retirement being evil. But all of our emails that we send out, all of our invitations to things, we're always saying this one thing. We're looking for the practitioners, which means the apprentices, the disciples. Because of this reason, we want to rub shoulders with those that love to push the stone. Mm-hmm. We're not interested in sitting in rooms with those that are looking for the end here of pushing the stone, because we all know there is some sort of end coming. We've read about an eternal rest that is going to be offered us, and we go, oh, cool, then we'll work until then. But we want to create it now. We keep being told this lie of create it now so that you won't have to strive anymore, or you won't live under this, whatever it may be, whatever the feeling is. Because we know we love work. We've all talked about how
strive for the breather. We just want the breather.
Yeah, but we've all talked about how we want to work for eternity. Work is beautiful.
I think that might actually be what the rest is. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
I sometimes think that might be what the rest is. Like the idea of like the end and there's like rest. And I'm like, no, but to me, like that, the work for eternity, it's like the coming together of like vocation and meaning and peace in the doing.
It's just when the window is wiped clean and we see now, we go, oh, this was always it. We were always going to push the stone.
This work is not restless. Yeah.
The rest is in loving it.
Yeah.
So eternity is offered us now. And I just feel like if we can embrace the spiritual discipline of, wait a minute, I love this.
I can't wait to remind you of this.
I
4
love
times a week, and for you to go, Halter, shut up. Right now, you're loving this. Just love it.
Yeah.
No, you're
And when we do, everything becomes clear. So like, there's so many parallels to draw to the practical everyday of like not not being able to pay the bills just right, or not, it's something not working out how we thought. It just means more work. It just means keep going. We keep going. We keep practicing. So, or there's the flip side. Or we just, gripe for the rest of our existence that things didn't work out and things worked out for other people. But as Lenz would say, babe, let's take a step back and look at their fulfillment.
One really quick thought. I know we got to wrap, but one really quick thought is like this project we just took on that I thought was impossible to get this place open. You said like, or things don't work and we gripe, but I asked myself the question when I started into it, because I thought the likelihood was quite low, but I thought we had to be done. It had to be tried. And I knew it was going to be a pretty public thing because I had to go out and ask for a ton of help and draw a ton of attention to this thing. But I did have a moment where I kind of looked in the mirror and was like, if all of this crumbles and falls flat and like you take a swing at this and you waste a bunch of money, you waste a bunch of energy, you called a bunch of attention to it. Like how are you gonna reckon with that? And it was not that difficult actually, just because I felt like called to it to say like, yeah, I would be okay with that. Like I would just be like, yep, someone had to try. Like, you're welcome. Like if it doesn't. And so like just to say ahead of time, like also when things fall apart, like to go, yeah, like we're not attached to the fruits of our labor. Like that the fruit is in God's hands. The tilling and the watering is in ours.
And do we love it?
That's that.
Hey, we gotta go. My
Yep.
toes frozen and the heater down underneath the table ain't cutting it. It's about to fall off.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad we had time to do this. This was good, man. Look forward to getting with you guys again soon.
We'll keep them consistent.
out.
See you, bud.
All right, man. Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Yep.
John.